I still have some questions, and I'm hoping the board can see fit to maybe answer some of my questions today. I'm curious how many departments in Bennett County, department heads, are allowed to go over budget during the fiscal year. How many department heads would you allow to go over their annual budget?
This is public comment.
Would the state's attorney be allowed to go over budget without answering questions? Would the treasurer or the auditor be able to go over budget without answering any questions?
This is public comment.
So, do you feel like you're not accountable to the taxpayers of Bennett County to answer questions? No?
I told you, this is public comment. Make your comments. We'll go on.
So, do you know where the tax money comes from that Bennett County spends? Like, you guys have a budget. Do you know where the money comes from for that budget? And who pays the county to fund the county? Do you know where that money comes from? Do you feel like you're accountable to that taxpayer to answer the questions when they ask where their money's being spent? Do you consider yourself, Mr. Bakley, a public servant? Does any of the five of you saying there that won't answer questions consider yourself actually public servants?
Judge, you should know this. Public comment we do not answer.
Really? So how do we get answers?
Did you go in?
When I sat at that table, my phone was always on, answered any question for anybody that had a question. We had public discussion at the meetings back then. There's not even public discussion anymore. We don't know what's going on in this county unless we actually sit and follow the financials. So I want to know, your highway department's way over budget now. Spending has just been authorized for a huge gravel hauling endeavor. You're already over budget, and now we're going to spend way more money on gravel hauling. That's going to take us way, way over budget again. Last year, I believe the gravel hauling bill that came in was right around $350,000. Which other department in this courthouse is allowed to go over budget like that? Where's this money coming from? Because you don't have additional money coming in. I find it unbelievable that you can't answer questions for the public when they ask you about how their tax dollars are being spent. So what if a citizen decided to ask you guys, being you're so kindly willing to go over budget, to pay this back to the county out of your own pockets? How would you feel about that? Do you think if a judge would get you on a stand and ask you to ask questions about how this money's being spent and how comfortable you feel going over budget, you would answer questions for a judge? Is that what the citizens of Bennett County has to do, is get a judge involved to get answers out of our leadership, public servants? I'm just asking. Thank you for your time.
That's it on the public comment.
Yeah.
Now public comment. Yes.
I have a question about the budget and the claims and everything that's coming up today in today's meeting. You guys have the budget still.
Hang on a second, Judge. You can't, we just learned in public comment, you can't talk about what's on the agenda today. We just learned this yesterday.
I can't talk about what's on the agenda today.
Is that correct?
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Continue.
So, You guys budgeted that the budget you're planning on approving today, or that's on the agenda to be approved, for the highway department to be at $820,000. Last year, the budget amount was $1,554,000, just under $1,055,000. With the claims that you have today, you're going to be over budget. You're going to be over budget $74,000. You just ended the third quarter. My question is, I guess, well, last year we know that you went $555,000 over budget. You're on track to do that again this year. Like, are we going to have a public hearing about all this money that's being spent? And you're going to have to do a budget hearing, correct? A public budget hearing where the public's going to be allowed to talk about all this money that's getting spent and the over budget. Will the public have a chance to have a budget hearing like we got denied last year of doing? Legally, we were supposed to have a budget hearing last year, and that you guys illegally transferred that money to where we didn't get a say. Are we going to get a budget hearing this year, a public one? You guys are at the end of the third quarter, and you're already $74,000 over budget in the highway department. You budgeted less money for next year by a lot. And your record shows that you keep going over budget. Is there anybody up there that really understands what's going on in this budget process? Can anybody follow these numbers?
This is comment, this isn't question.
So you're not going to answer
No.
the public's questions?
No,
Okay. Can you answer,
we're not gonna answer any questions.
where's this money coming from?
We're not gonna answer any questions.
So in your claims today, there's a claim under the Bennett County Commissioners for Claiborne, Luce, and Sabers law firm for $6,309. Can I ask what that law firm was representing?
I told you we're not gonna answer any questions.
So was that law firm representing Kevin Curtis in his conduct of an officer trial? Can you answer me if the county is going to pay for Kevin Curtis's attorney of $6,309? Is the county citizens going to pay for that today? Because I believe Kevin Curtis was found to have engaged in conduct unbecoming of an officer for the first two incidents in his trial. Is the county citizens going to pay for that today?
I told you, we are not gonna answer any questions. This is comment.
Well, I will comment that as a tax-paying citizen of Bennett County, it would be really, really nice, number one, if we were able to get some answers. Number two, where our money's being spent. Because obviously, as Blue stated, I believe in the last meeting, these are just made-up numbers in this budget. They don't really matter. Well, obviously they matter because there's a lot of taxpayers in this county that are paying in to fund this county. And I'm really curious about how our money's being spent and who's making these decisions. I think that those of you that's not on the highway department might want to start looking at the highway department. Keely, you know numbers. Start looking at this. You've got a voice up there. All you guys that are not on the highway department need to say, what's going on? Where are you guys spending all this money? Because you guys' vote's going to be there to transfer it. And are you guys going to vote in favor of transferring this money to keep this highway department funded the way it's going now? Because the spending's getting pretty reckless. We have a budget for a reason, and it's to be followed. I'll end my comment there. Thank you for your time.